The story begins with a quiet neighborhood where a man had recently moved into a beautiful cabin-style home. He was proud of his place, kept it well-maintained, and paid all of his bills and taxes on time. But the Homeowners Association had a president who loved power a little too much. This woman, known around the block as a Karen, decided she didn't like this homeowner from the very first week. She thought he was too independent, too confident, and worst of all, he didn't show up to the HOA meetings where she loved to control everyone with her endless rules. So, Karen did what Karens do. She started sending him warning letters. First, she claimed his mailbox was too tall, even though it was the exact same height as every other mailbox on the street. Then, she said his truck was too big to park in his own driveway, even though the HOA had no official rules about vehicle size. Later, she even fined him because his lawn wasn't green enough, despite the fact that his grass was perfectly healthy. Every week, a new complaint. Every week, a new fine. But the man just ignored her petty attempts to control him. That's when Karen took things to the next level. One evening, while the man was watching TV, there was a loud pounding on his front door. When he opened it, two men stood there wearing dark uniforms with fake-looking badges. They announced they were neighborhood enforcement officers, sent to place him under arrest for violating HOA laws. The man looked at them calmly, then asked to see their credentials. The badges were cheap knockoffs, the uniforms were mismatched, and their story didn't make any sense. He immediately knew what was happening. The truth was, this man wasn't just an ordinary resident. He was the chief of police for the entire county. He had dealt with impersonators before, and he knew exactly how to handle them. Instead of showing fear, he invited them to wait right there while he grabbed some paperwork. But what he really did was step into his office, pick up his radio, and call in real officers to his home address. Within minutes, squad cars pulled up with flashing lights. The two fake cops froze, realizing they were caught in the middle of a very serious crime. The homeowner came back to the door in full uniform, badge shining, and calmly said, "Gentlemen, you're under arrest for impersonating police officers." Their faces went pale. They stammered excuses, saying the HOA president had hired them to enforce rules, and they didn't know it was illegal. But impersonating an officer is a felony, and both men were handcuffed and taken away that very night. When questioned, they admitted that Karen had told them the homeowner was trouble and that they needed to scare him straight. She had even paid them cash to pretend to be law enforcement. What Karen didn't realize was that she had just committed conspiracy and solicitation of a felony. The next morning, the chief personally paid Karen a visit, this time with real officers by his side. She tried to act innocent, claiming it was all just a misunderstanding. But the evidence was clear. Texts, payments, and instructions from her phone all proved she had orchestrated the entire scheme. She was arrested on the spot, charged with fraud, harassment, and conspiracy to commit a crime. Word spread fast through the neighborhood. Residents who had always feared the HOA suddenly realized just how far Karen was willing to go. The HOA board held an emergency meeting, voted her out immediately, and dissolved several of the ridiculous rules she had put in place. Many neighbors actually thanked the chief for standing his ground and exposing the corruption. As for the chief himself, he went right back to living peacefully in his cabin home, parking his truck in his driveway and mowing his lawn the way he liked. But now everyone in the community knew, if you try to mess with him, you're not just picking a fight with a homeowner, you're picking a fight with the law itself. And that's how one HOA's desperate attempt to control a resident backfired in the most spectacular way possible. The final lesson? Some HOA presidents think they can bully, intimidate, or even fake the law to get their way. But when they go too far, they might just discover that the very person they tried to push around is the one person they should have never messed with. Because at the end of the day, real authority isn't in the hands of petty HOA leaders. It's in the hands of those sworn to uphold justice. And in this case, justice came down hard.